Hello, everyone. This is Jay Dobbins, your host of the Marvel DC Universe Fan Club. We are now at episode 56, and I'll be discussing one topic, which is going to be my review on Marvel's The Gifted. So, I must say that so far, the first episode of The Gifted was, the name of it was Exposed. And it started off with a mutant running away from police, and as soon as the police catch up with her, she uses her power, which opens a portal, um, which allows her to escape to the police, pretty much. So, later on, uh, they were three mutants, one by the name of Lorna, and one who had a mutant power of tracking, and later on, super strength, which I'm going to have to assume. Well, I'll get to those names later. And then there was another mutant by the name of Marcos, who were tracking the mutant who had escaped from the police. So, and then later on, there is, it goes, later on, the story goes on with the parents who have two children who are mutants. One Lauren and the other one Andy. The parents are going to the school to confront the principal about the problems that Andy was having, which was bullying. He was being bullied, and the Mr. Strucker, Andy and Lauren's father, were he was very persistent and persuaded the principal or the vice principal to actually do something about it, or he was going to sue the school into oblivion. Very persuasive. Most, all it takes is a little persuasion, and next thing you know, bam, principals are going to have to actually do something about it. And he did. He sure did make sure of it, too, though. So I'll get to that part later. And after that scene ends, it shows Andy drawing a wolf or something like that. Oh, and then as soon as the three mutants track the other mutant who escaped from the police. Matter of fact, I'm just gonna get on to with who these mutants are. So these mutants are Lorna Dane is Polaris, played by Emma Demont, and the other mutants. Trying to think, his name was Marcos, and I cannot remember who plays Marcos, but I'm trying to think. I don't have that many names right now, but oh, the mutant that was tracking the other mutant who escaped from the police. He went by the name of John, and I'm thinking, okay, he has a power of tracking. He has superhuman strength, and then they called him John, which is pretty much John Proudstar. John Proudstar is known as Thunderbird. In the mainstream universe, Thunderbird was part of the X-Men, and then he died later on. In the line of battle, pretty much. But and then you also have Jamie Chung, who is so fine. She plays Blink. Blink was the mutant that you seen in the X-Men Days of Future Past film. Because one, her eyes, the little, I guess, tattoo on her face, the mutant powers, scars, and the color of her hair. So all, put all that together and you got Blink. So, and then on top of that, when she opened the portal, I was like, oh, that has to be Blink. So yeah, Blink was seen in Days of Future Past, but she's also known in the comics. She was pretty much appeared in the X-Men Age of Apocalypse, or the Astonishing X-Men Age of Apocalypse series in the comics back in the 90s. So yeah, Blink has, well, I guess, a role to play in this film as well. Trying to think. Oh yeah, John Proudstar, played by Blair Redford, which I believe he's Native American. And then you also have what's that guy's name? I'm trying to think. I cannot remember who played Marcos. Marcos is a mutant that I've pretty much never heard of. But yeah, his power is like flashlight and I guess lasers or something like that. And if he's wounded, the wound glows up or lights up. It's kind of weird, but yes. Oh, then you also have newcomers who are, I guess, mutants. Yeah, they're mutants. Ain't no, I guess they are mutants. Lauren Strucker, played by Natalie Ellen Lynn, and then you also have Percy Hines White, who plays Andy Strucker, who later on discovers his powers. And then you got the parents, played by Stephen Moyer, who plays Reed Strucker, and then you also have Amy Acker, who plays Kate Strucker, the mother. So, trying to think. Yeah, so, okay, back to the part where when Blink is being found by mutants Marcos, Lorna, and of course John Proudstar, also known as Thunderbird, the police eventually find them. You know, she teleported to her hideout or whatever. The three mutants find a hideout. They try to rescue her, and then the police come. They open fire, and you know, they use their Polaris and use her powers, which is magnetism, same as Magneto, but that doesn't mean that. But Polaris and Magneto are not related, so just wanted to let you know. But they just have the exact same mutant power, so yeah, it's kind of weird, but hey, that's how it is in the comics. But yeah, also you have oh yeah, so they eventually use their powers, and then they finally find a back door to escape from. So then Marcos uses his power to distract the police, which he pretty much glowed the entire. I mean, he had like a little flashlight that was like let's just say the power he used was enough to light up an entire football or baseball stadium, pretty much. Because that was pretty much, it was like a little flashbang or something like that. But yeah, also, so they eventually get out and go through the back door. Then a cop goes around back and then shoots Marcos, wounding him. Shot him in the arm, pretty much. Polaris uses her powers and slams him against a dumpster. Then later on, the police catch up using the back door and capture her, and then but then the mutants, they have to, leave her behind. So now back to the scenes with Kate, Lauren, and of course Andy. So Andy, I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, that's right. Andy and Andy and Andy, Lorna, and Kate. They're pretty much having a discussion at dinner. After that, Kate gives Lauren a curfew, which is 11:30. So, because she was going to the dance. So, As she's texting on her way to her car, um, Andy's in the car, and he's trying to sneak out because he doesn't get out much, I guess, or he doesn't have that kind of he felt like he was a baby cow in the farm or whatever, a veal or something like that. So then she kind of he sweet talks Lauren into taking him to the dance with her. They arrive at the dance, and Lauren finds him, runs into her boyfriend or whatever, and they're dancing, having fun, and then Andy is just sitting on the bleachers, and then he later on runs into the bullies, the three bullies who were bullying him. So that's when they make their first appearance. They spot Andy. Andy tries to avoid them, but they eventually catch up to him. They take him, to the locker room. Lauren notices that, and then of course they hold him down and they throw him in the shower. So later on, Andy is so angry to the point to where he uses his mutant power for the very first time. Matter of fact, he discovered his mutant power for the first time. So that's what happens. When you're at a certain age, like a kid or whatever, or teenager, depending on your age or depending on, sometimes it just happens. It's like a random sneeze, Your mutant powers, you don't know about it until something happens. Like if you're stressed or angry or whatever, that's when the mutant power occurs. That's when they discover their mutant power. So yeah, it happens. It's very hard to explain, but they don't discover their mutant power until they're at a certain age, like either junior high or high school or whatever, or if you're like a teenager. So, but yeah, Andy discovered his mutant power for the first time. The entire school was shaking. They thought it was an earthquake, but they weren't sure. So then the bullies are like, "Well, what's going on?" So they look around, and then they know, and then Andy is so angry he bent the showers like a little pretzel, pretty much. And then he used his power as as the entire locker room and the entire school is shaking. He uses his powers, and he uses powers, which I think it was telekinesis. I don't know, but he used it on the bullies, and the bullies were flying back pretty much into lockers. So when I saw that, I was like, ha ha, that's what y'all get. They underestimated Andy. They thought Andy was just some punk, but turns out that wasn't the case. There's a saying that if you push a man too far, or if you push a man, woman, kid, you push them too far, sooner or later they start pushing back. And that's what Andy did, unintentionally, but, because he uses powers accidentally. It just happened. But yeah, those bullies had that coming. So then, it gotten so worse to the point to where Andy couldn't control it. So then everybody starts to evacuate the gym, school rather. So then, the boyfriend was like, "Hey, Lauren, let's go." She's like, "I gotta find Andy," So then she goes into, as a big light is about to fall down on one of the students, she uses her powers and blocks it. So then the ceiling almost came crumbling, collapsed. The ceiling collapsed coming down, and it was about to collapse on her, but then she used her power, blocked it. The two bullies come out of the locker room with minor injuries. I guess one had a scraped arm, and I guess the other one got his head busted open or something like that. His head was bleeding. I guess he had a little cut on his head. He wasn't bleeding bad, but his head was busted open. Not very bad, but it's like a little scratch to where blood was tearing down from his forehead. So then she goes into the locker room, and Andy's still in anger, screaming. So then she's like, Lauren was like, Andy. Then she finally got Andy to snap out of it. And then he was like, I'm so sorry, because it was an accident. So then, as they're walking out of the locker room, Andy looks at one of the main bullies. He's still on the ground. He's looking at him. I couldn't, look like he was afraid or something like that. But yeah, he had a cut on his forehead and blood was tearing down from his head. So yeah, but I just wanted to let you know a little bit of justice was served. Those bullies did have it coming, and I'm pretty sure if they ever saw Andy on the street again, they wouldn't mess with him again, knowing full well what he's capable of. So, also another saying: don't underestimate anyone. Period. So yeah, I hope the bullies learned something from that, and I just want to let you know those bullies did have it coming, so they got theirs. So that was good. Okay, but anyway, so then they eventually escape. They head home, and he was like, he was pretty upset, and Andy was pretty upset and shaken from the event, and he was like, "Hey, I didn't know," but so he blamed himself for ruining everyone's lives. If he felt like if he hadn't gone to that dance, there wouldn't have been, there wouldn't have been an incident, and they wouldn't be on the run right about now. But let's get to that later. So yeah, it turns out that Kate, is shocked to learn that her kids are mutants. So she later Lauren later revealed that she was a mutant, and she used an event from 3 years ago as an example when she was in the car and there was a drunk driver that almost hit them. So then she used her mutant power to move the incoming car. So they were able to dodge, they were able to avoid an incident due to Lauren's mutant power. So then, Kate the whole time thought it was a miracle, and she was like, nope, that was me. So Lauren knew that she was a mutant the entire time because she discovered her powers 3 years ago, or 3 years from the event, that occurred in the Gifted. So, also, I'm trying to think. But yeah, also, the Sentinel unit arrive at their doorstep, letting them know that, hey, we need your kids to come with me, that type of thing. She's like, of course she asks a few questions. She's like, well, we need to, just for their protection, we need to take them or whatever. Or they need to come with us. Sorry, he said that they needed to come with them, just for the protection or whatever. So then Kate was like, no, that's not going to happen. So then they forced their way in. And then, they knocked Kate down. They tried to get to the kids, and the kids were like, Andy was like, get away from our mother. So then, he's angry. He uses his powers again, and then just when the agents are about to draw their weapons, Lauren uses her power and allows them to escape. So, they eventually get away. They use the car. They eventually get away. They go to a motel or a restaurant, and Kate calls Reed Strucker, the father, and she tells him about the events or whatever. And Kate's trying to tell Reed that, hey, our kids are mutants, because because Reed was a prosecutor, and he prosecuted mutants pretty much. So now, realizing that his kids are mutants, he does everything he can to protect his children, and Kate does the same thing. Kate and Reed are coming together to protect their kids from the Sentinel program. So then, he, so Reed asks questions, and he's like, "Dag," he realizes that after finding out that the Sentinel unit came to their house, he thought it was, hey, you know, she meant police. She's like, no, the actual Sentinel program. So she was like, okay. So then he realizes, oh, this is way above our jurisdiction. So, and then he's like, hey, there has to be something we can do. He's like, nope, there ain't nothing we can do. So, um, they eventually, Reed eventually gets in touch with the three mutants. Oh, by the way, they was it one of them was Marcos, also known as Eclipse, and he is played by Jason Teal, a British actor. So he contacts Marcos, or Eclipse rather. He contacts him and wants to meet up to set up a time and day to get get him and his family out of the country over the Mexican border. So then he's like, okay, we're gonna meet at at the Tex Saloon or Tex Diner or whatever. They meet up at the saloon, and as Reed is going into the bar, the Tex bar, Stan Lee comes out, does his little cameo. He always does cameos, but yeah, he did. So Stan Lee did do a cameo in this film. I mean, in this episode, as Reed was going into the bar, and Stan Lee's coming out. So everybody was like, "Yeah, Stan Lee," So then, he uses Marcos uses his power to get Reed's attention. So Reed was like, "Okay, hey, I have information about Lorna, because Lorna was captured and held in a facility. So, Marcos and John, also known as Thunderbird, are trying to get they're trying to get her out. So he has information. He gave him a little bit of information. Reed gave Marcos a little bit of information in exchange for getting his family out. And he said that once he gets his family out, he'll give him all the information he needs. So then Marcos says that, oh, I'm going to get your family out, but you're staying behind so we can get Lorna out. So Blink decides to help Lorna. Blink decides to help John and Marcos get Lorna out, because she felt like she was the blame for Lorna being captured. So also later on, Marcos later meets up with the family, only to realize later on that they're being followed. So Marcos thought that it was a trap, and turns out it wasn't a trap. The Sentinel units eventually found them somehow. I guess it was their phone or something. I don't know. So then the agents, they completely surround them and tells them to please lay down, put their hands on their head. So they was like, hey, we had. So then Reed was like, hey, we have rights. We want a lawyer. He's like, no lawyer, no lawyer, no rights. Just do it. Do as I say. Lay down, put your hands on the ground, that type of thing. So I believe. Oh, wait a minute. I think Marcos uses powers to escape. So as they eventually run, and then the Sentinel unit, or services rather, eventually use their Sentinel spiders, which I think are different kind of Sentinels, to capture them, to capture the mutant fugitives. And of course, Kate and Reed. So. But yeah, Kate and Reed are humans. They're not mutants. They just have kids. The kids Andy and Lauren are mutants. So they eventually, as they're escaping, John and Blink eventually catch up with them. So Lauren uses their powers to hold them off, but as they're running, Andy falls. Typical. Andy falls. John picks him up, and then a sentinel spider is pretty much, you know, pretty much wraps himself around his arm. Marcos uses his power to he uses power to get the sentinel to turn John loose, pretty much. So they were able, they were running, and then the sentinels eventually got theirs, got a location, locked them, and as the Sentinel services, not the Sentinels unit, Sentinel services are catching up, they see that the Sentinel spiders are going in the same direction. He's like, oh, okay. He's like, I guess they got a lock, so now we know their location. So Blink opens up a portal, or tries to open up a portal, and Lauren uses her powers to hold them off, and then Marcos uses his power to hold them off, and then as Blink has a portal open, the mutants are making their escape, and Andy stays and uses his powers and just pretty much tears all the Sentinel spiders into pieces. So Blink's like, hey, I can't hold this portal any longer. So Andy goes through, and Reed is shot, but not dead, wounded. So then, they try to, get him, but then the portal closes. Blink goes through the portal, and Reed is left behind, for now anyway. But I'm guessing in the next episode they're going to rescue him at some point. So, but yeah, that's the review, recap. Now, as far as the review goes, the storyline was excellent. I like how they did the little intro where Blink's running from the police, and she eventually escapes the police. So that part was good. The storyline was good. The writing was good. I like the characters' personalities were good. And I like the Stan Lee cameo, perfect timing. And I also like that's right. I also like the special effects. I like the settings. I also like I like how they put everything together. So far, the first episode did not disappoint. I would not be surprised if, the film has gotten 10 million views or 20 million viewers rather. So we'll see. But, so far, Mondays, it's good. I'm glad they have it on Mondays. Hopefully they don't change it. And hopefully after the mid-season of Gotham, they'll move that to Mondays as well. So, but yeah. So everything was excellent. I give it since nobody has gotten killed yet, I'm going to have to give it a 10 out of 10 for right now. 5 out of 5 stars. And I'll give it 100% for right now. But as long as they keep doing good and keep writing keep making good scripts for each episode, then you're probably looking at the perfect series, pretty much. And Bryan Singer was an executive producer, and he was also the director of this first episode, which explains why the first episode had a good entrance and flowed. Because when Bryan Singer directs something, it's good, pretty much, period. So. But yeah, I think he should continue on directing X-Men films, and I also think he should continue on directing The Gifted as well, since he was directing the first episode. But So far, the movie was pretty. I mean, the so far the show's is pretty good so far. So as long as they keep it up, they'll do good. But yeah, and also I like how they introduced new characters like Eclipse, aka Marcos, aka Eclipse, and also also introducing James Proudstar, known as Thunderbird, which he made a cameo in the X-Men animated series in the 90s, but he was also made appearance in comic books. But as far as a live appearance, this will be the first time because his brother Warpath, also known as James Proudstar, yeah, his brother Warpath made an appearance in X-Men Days of Future Past. So Warpath makes an appearance in X-Men Days of Future Past, while Thunderbird makes an appearance in The Gifted. So I guess it's working well. I'm looking forward to seeing how many more mutants being introduced later on in the season. So, but yeah, that concludes this topic. Feel free to visit us and like us on Facebook. We're available on iTunes, the Google Play Music app, YouTube,